ONUS. Making business beautiful.
Welcome to the new episode of our podcast. We have a very special guest. We have an entrepreneur from the States with origins from Israel. He is Joseph Vaknen, and we welcome you in our podcast. We are honored to have you, and we will be speaking today about money, success, business in America and in Albania.
Thank you very much for having me, Fiordi. It's a pleasure to be here.
So we can call you Joe.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Joe is my name.
A little simple.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to share any knowledge I can.
Pleasure is ours.
Thank you.
So how did you first find about Albania? How it all started?
Well, I first found out about Albania when I was 5 years old. My first friend was actually Albanian, and my first girlfriend was Albanian.
Whoa.
Yes, but that was when I was 13. Anyway.
So you got seduced from an early age.
It's been in my mind since I was a kid.
I didn't know that.
Of course.
What age do you come here in Albania?
The first time I came to Albania was, I believe, 5 years ago.
Yeah, the first time. Why? You've come here for vacation or something?
So we actually started the company, I believe, 6+ years ago. And we started with a very small team of developers, graphic designers, etc. Anyway, as we progressed, we added to our team, and we had a team of about 7 or 8 here in Tirana. A few web developers, a few graphic designers, some social media people, etc.
But at the time you lived in America.
Yes, I live in New York.
So you had to do the, how do you say it, the remote job from America when you start that.
Correct.
Okay.
Initially, everything was done remotely. So
You are talking about SFC, right?
yes,
So we are talking about the SFC company.
we're talking about the original company that we started was a fintech company. So we were creating a marketplace for businesses to obtain financing. The name of the company was The Funding Floor. So we had developers here in Tirana, web developers, graphic designers, etc., and we had been working on the product for a few years. We had raised seed money. We have investors, etc. We had been working on it for quite a few years because obviously putting together the technology was a bit complex. It's a marketplace. So in any kind of marketplace, there's interactions or there are many intricacies. When we finally took off as a company, COVID hit. And COVID shut us down.
Was it bad luck or good luck in your case?
It was, that's a great question. Believe it or not, good luck. The most important part was we stayed resilient. And we did take the lemon and we made lemonade out of it. So we put our heads together and we said, okay, well, we've got to figure this out. We took a few weeks and then we said, why don't we start an outsourcing company in Albania? We already have employees there and they're great at what they do.
So you cut costs?
Exactly. We cut costs. We provide employment to people here. And we made a few phone calls in America to our friends and family that own businesses. And we asked them, we said, hey, if we can get you employees to do similar jobs to the people you already have in your infrastructure, in your office, doing data entry, back office, customer service, is that something you would be interested in? I got 6 or 7 yeses.
Whoa.
Got onto an airplane, and we made it happen. We have 200 employees strong now.
Whoa.
Just here in Albania. We have an office in Mexico City with about 35 employees, and we just signed our lease on our Pristina office in Kosovo 2 days
Also
ago.
in Pristina?
We just opened, yeah.
That's so great.
Yes.
So what you have been doing is only outsourcing so far?
So we started SFC as a byproduct of COVID, and it grew into something tremendous, which is why we're here now. And while we started the company, and we had grown the company, we received a phone call from our investors for the original marketplace idea, and they wanted to get started again. So now we have SFC, and we are also doing the business financing project. We hit our 1 year mark last month.
Whoa.
And we do business financing. We fund small to medium-sized businesses in the United States, and that's another business that we
So
have.
you are like a kind of a bank.
We are a bank, absolutely, correct.
So what is your opinion about inflation then? Because $1 million in 1992 today is like worth $2.1 million. And furthermore, people are having higher wages. Like in the last 20 years, the wages have been increased by almost 30%, whereas the prices of houses have increased by more than 150%. So people are having a difficult time to keep out with the rising costs. They cannot keep their same lifestyle, and the only thing they are trying to do is like working more or getting another job. But I think we have a huge problem, because if you work harder and if the work isn't smart, then it is stupid work if it doesn't lead you nowhere. Because people nowadays don't have a lot of financial information and don't know how to better manage their finances and their careers in this sense. What's your opinion about inflation?
You are touching on so many important topics right now. So inflation, forget inflation as the word economically, but you're correct. Everything is expensive. And like you said, the wages have gone up. And the reason for that is during COVID, people just didn't want to work. And after COVID, that kind of started to linger. The, you know,
Passivity.
there many things happened during COVID. People either maneuvered, stayed resilient, and grew, or some people actually just, a lot of people became depressed and stopped doing anything altogether. But what happened was the reason why the wages, I think, at least went up is because of the lack of people that wanted to work. So employers had to pay more money to get the same type of talent. So if your average starting salary in the States for someone straight out of college used to be pre-COVID 45K a year, it's probably at 70 or 75K a year now in the States, because it's very hard to find people that want to go into an office. People are used to working remotely. They like to stay home now. So we've got a lot of conflict there because, bosses do want people to come back to the office. People have gotten used to staying home. And the truth is, sometimes the remote work isn't bad. A commute 1 hour each way is 2 hours. That's 2 hours of wasted time, unless you work. So that was one point. Another point you were speaking about was keeping up with everything. So that's another tough thing that we're going through, because people cannot keep up this day and age. And I think that's why you see a lot of side hustles, if you just scroll Instagram, TikTok, everyone's doing something, and it's pretty cool. Everyone's doing something that makes them an extra, $1,500, whatever it might be a month. It helps.
Yeah, but is it a solution though?
It's not necessarily a solution, because, like you said, you're working harder, and not even necessarily smarter sometimes. So I do agree that applying your energy is not necessarily a good or bad thing. It's only a good thing if you apply it in the right places, and, like you said, smart.
Yeah.
You can keep doing the same thing over and over, but if it's not a smart idea, you're not going to get anywhere, like you said.
Yeah, a quote comes in mind from Rockefeller that says, if you work all day, you don't have time to make money. What do you think about that?
That's exactly it. Exactly. If you're in the infrastructure working, sometimes you lose it. So sometimes you need to take a step back, take a look around. And it's very important to learn how to delegate and how to offload a lot of your work and trust other people. So that's why it's important to have a good support system, a good infrastructure around you, so you can delegate and trust people, so that you can take some time and actually get more creative and expand your business rather than work in the business.
I have a question. How would you describe the business environment and the opportunities that are in Albania compared to the States?
That's a very good question as well. Business opportunity in the States, it's the opportunities are, I believe, there. We are all hustling in the States, so you definitely have to work extremely hard and smart to become successful, but you have the ability to become successful. It's
Yeah.
just competitive. I believe here in Albania, there is a ton of opportunity. I think that if you just get a little bit creative in this country, and you apply positive mindset and you bring in good people, and like I said, with a good ideas, different ideas here, switch it up a little bit. I mean, look at where we are. This is very different, and I love it. And I think there's a ton of opportunity here, in many different sectors.
So the American dream exists in Albania as well.
The American dream is just a term. I think it exists everywhere. Yeah, it exists here very much.
And what about you, for example, regarding all your experience that you have had so far here in Albania? What are some sectors which you see like with high potential and high growth opportunity in which to invest in the coming future? In your personal perspective.
Fiordi, you're hitting me with all the good questions.
I
But
told you that this would be a great podcast.
if I give away my secrets, I'm kidding. So, I've been coming back and forth for quite some time now, and every time I come here, there's always something new, or at least my eyes are open to something new. So, a lot of opportunity here, I believe, will be in the future, in the upcoming future, will definitely be in tourism. Okay. So, you guys have your whole southern coast shares a coastline with Greece. It's beautiful. I think development there in the near future will be huge. Probably just need an airport in the south, and then this place is ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, which is about to be built, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm excited for it.
Where?
Vlora.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, listen, if you want to bring people here, you need to have an airport near the south. It's a must. Absolutely.
In the north, there is an airport.
Yeah, Cooks.
So
Yeah.
it's a little one.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
for the moment.
people like beaches.
Uh,
So yeah, that's one sector for sure. And I think people here, at least the younger people, are definitely more interested in getting out. So anything most of the businesses I've seen here, if you do them right, like for example, you take a restaurant,
you manage it the right way.
yeah, look at, like the restaurants that we see that put up a nice bar, decorate it nicely,
Put some nice girls in it.
that's it. Exactly. Put in a nice bar. All the service should have matching aprons, make it look nice, bring in some good food, a good menu, bring in a chef, some culinary experiences, and I think you can make anything happen in this country. People are open-minded, they're interested,
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, but I think that the potential is like more for people that outsource and use like the benefits of low wages and the geographical position of Albania to outsource in different richer countries. I mean, like
Absolutely.
that's the biggest potential because the market in Albania is not that big to exploit.
Correct. Yeah, I was trying to keep it like in Albania. So
Yeah.
I didn't want to. Yeah. So, but yes, absolutely, of course. Your resources here are your people. That's number one, because the younger generation are vibrant, smart. Um, they blow me away. My whole office is full of some very intelligent people they're crushing it. And we receive compliments daily from all of our employers in the States. They love this country, they love the people, they love the culture, and they're smart. So the combination of all of them just makes really a great recipe for success here. So yes, the outsourcing is great. That's definitely one sector. There are probably a few other things, but that's definitely one main one.
Mhm.
What advice would you give to other American businesses looking to expand their business into Albania or similar foreign markets?
Now you're really asking me to give away my secret.
I told you this would be a good
I'm
podcast.
sweating. Well, this was my main takeaway from doing business here. Young entrepreneurs, learn the culture. It's like coming to somebody's house and not knowing who they are and just doing whatever you want. I think it's very important to do research on how people do business here and accommodate them. This is not our country. This is Albania, and we need to accommodate how people do business here. For example, very small things that make a huge difference. This is Europe, obviously. I'm American, so I'm not used to having coffee all the time when there are meetings. When I came here, everyone wanted to have coffee, and I said, I already had 9 coffees today. Maybe can we have water?
No, it's crazy.
But
It goes in the culture.
listen, you have to do it. And what I've learned is it's very nice and it allows you to unwind. It allows you to get to see and feel the person and know who you're doing business with. So I've actually learned how to utilize that even in the States. In times of uncertainty, when I don't know who I'm doing business with, yes, meeting in person is definitely something that is a must. So I think the way people do business here is great. Sitting down and having a cup of coffee for 10 minutes, why not? But just after the first 2, you have to go decaf for the rest of them.
Yeah.
Or you have to start with a vodka.
Yeah, that's right.
One or the other.
Raki.
Raki, always.
Do you like raki?
I love Raki.
I don't like it.
You only like, what do you like? Vodka.
Yeah, vodka.
Yeah.
In Kosovo, I had a Raki. We met the prime minister and president of Kosovo. We met Hashim Taci and the president of the time, the prime minister at the time. And after that, we went to eat at a restaurant with them, with the assistant of the prime minister, and they brought a pear Raki, and it was cold, and it actually tasted like pears, and it was the best Raki I had ever had. So that was.
Do we have any pear Raki here?
No, I don't think so.
We have pear
never
vodka
tried
though.
Never tried it.
It's a little early, but we're in Albania, so it's never too early. Never too. Yeah, exactly.
And what about your experience and how did you get integrated here in Albania? Because for sure you have a lot of potential as a company and you found a country which had several traits that were a good fit for your project, but you needed partners, right? You needed like the right people in which to step for a potential collaboration. So how did you solve this very simple and important problem right at the beginning?
Absolutely. If you don't have resources here, you can't do business here. If you don't, like anywhere else.
Yeah.
So, as you know, my main man, Thano.
Yeah.
He is
It is coming.
who is the CEO of SFC here. He's my main man. He's been with me since day one. He's my rock here. He gets shit done. So Thano, who you all will meet very shortly, is my guy here. We have a whole team. We've got Kelly. Kelly runs HR and recruiting. Kelly's been with us since day one. She's a rock star. We brought Kelly in when she was just in college, and now she can watch an interview and tell me if this person is going to stay with us for 6 months, a year and a half, just by listening to their voice.
Whoa, she's like an oracle.
She is an oracle.
Can you?
We call her the
Can you
unicorn.
lend her to me, like for some special occasions?
No.
Negotiations and stuff.
I don't know if you can afford her for it, Fiordi.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. You probably
I
could.
have a
More
last
than me.
question. I have a last question before we bring Thano here. What do you like the most in Albania?
Come on.
They can be girls.
Come on. No. We're all business here, guys. The girls in Albania are beautiful. Absolutely. But
One thing, only one.
one thing I like about Albania is, honestly, guys, it's the South. That's it.
The sea, the beaches, right?
Yeah, the beaches here are great. They're killer. I love Durmi. I love Vlora. I love all of it. Yeah, vacationing here is definitely great. Doing business is number one, but my second hobby here is definitely vacationing.
Yeah, but to have a nice vacation, you have to have an Albanian girlfriend to show you around because the south is like a maze.
Oh, bo. Maybe one day, but
I have to bring
taking
Fano
that.
now. Fano, will come?
Yes, thank you for having me, guys.
No, you have to stay.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'll be here.
you don't go anywhere till we finish the podcast.
Not going anywhere. Ooh,
Yes.
look who's back.
So we have now with us
Mm-hmm.
Athanasios Canko,
Yes, sir.
the CEO of SFC, and Joe's official
bakte.
partner,
Perfect.
for Albania. So you guys met right at the beginning when everything started.
Correct.
So my first curiosity is, how did you find each other?
So, the story of how I met Joe, long story short, I used to work as a developer almost 8 years ago. And I met my initial first business partner and the person that I still keep in touch with on a daily basis. His name was Michael. And we worked for a couple of years together. I developed some basic apps for him. And then Michael was also involved in the marketplace idea that Joe previously mentioned. And he onboarded me to that project, initially as a developer, but then I became sort of a project manager and I started onboarding a few of my people here in Albania, doing data entry, graphic design, and all things of that nature. And around the same time, Joe was also brought on board as a business development guy in the States. And that's how we
Head of business development for
head
you.
of
To you.
business
Forget that
development. Yes,
Sorry.
that's definitely the truth. And we vibed almost immediately. We realized that we have a lot of things in common. You know, we have similar personalities. We both like jokes and we both like to hustle and be vibrant and all those kinds of things.
You both also have a high energy.
I would say so, yes. You know, I'm not sure if I can match Joe's energy yet or not. He's way too high, but I'm trying to get there.
That's because he doesn't share all of his secrets.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
A magician never shares all of his tricks.
Yeah,
and
but
you know,
we,
Joe
we,
knows
we will do a 3D scan out of him.
Hmm?
And we will know everything.
You can 3D print me too.
No, you are good for 3D printing, but we just not need to know everything.
Love
We
you.
can keep up with you, no?
Of course.
I got to keep up with you, Fiordi.
And then Joe's initial visit to Albania was right before COVID, when we were about to launch the marketplace idea. Then COVID hit. Unfortunately, things were put on hiatus for a considerable amount of months, maybe almost a year. And then, as Joe mentioned, we started exploring the outsourcing idea. And he came here for almost 3 months. 4 months, and helped me out a lot. Back then, I was still a kid. I was like 22. I didn't really know shit about business.
How old are you now?
I'm now 27. And the past 5 years for me have been an amazing learning experience, full of obviously struggles. And, you know, as Joe mentioned, we had to be very resilient regarding a lot of things. But almost all of it, honestly, I owe it to Joe because he is older than me. He is much more experienced than I am. His exposure to business in general in the United States is something that is very valuable to me. And I try to be a sponge and soak as much knowledge from him as possible.
So it became like your mentor.
He is my mentor to this day.
Lucky you.
I consider him my mentor, but I would go beyond that. And I also consider him my brother. He's like my family now.
Whoa.
He is the brother I never had. I'm an only child. I never had a sister or a brother. I grew up alone, so I was like, you know, I find Joe. I'm like, all right, you know, thank God now I have a
Is there
brother.
a brother from another mother and father.
Yep.
Yeah, and his mother and father are indeed my second parents as well.
Whoa.
Yes.
And So that has been it. As I mentioned, the past few years have really been, a lot of struggles and a lot of things that we try to figure out through trial and error, things that probably, take weeks on this podcast to explain. So we'll try to keep everything short. But thank God everything has been working well so far. Everything's been going great. Joe, I think it's his 8th trip here to Albania. And every time he comes here, he spends a couple of months and helps out. We manage things together. Whenever Joe's around, everything is much easier for me. And as I said, I consider myself to have learned a lot from him, and that enabled me to be the man that I think I am today. That I run a large company, and I think it's doing great, and it's very successful, and I'm proud of that. But I have to give credit where it's due, and I'm grateful to this person for teaching me and handling things for me until I got to the point where I can manage everything now myself, and I don't have to bust his chops anymore every single day regarding how to manage a company.
Thank you for the kind words, Dano. I love you, and it's reciprocated, really.
Guys, I'm really happy when I find like partners that are so connected and like they complement each other. So now I understand why your business is so successful, and the sky's the limit for you.
Absolutely.
I'm sure about that. So for all the
100%.
listeners that are listening to us, that are willing to work in a well-established company in which everything is structured in the right way and all the employees are considered as partners, right?
Absolutely.
And treated as partners,
Absolutely.
you have to consider SFC.
SFC ALB is the way to be.
Yeah, let's do this.
That was a good one.
Right.
Yes. Did you come up with that on the spot? Because
Just now.
Boom.
his, I think he already had his morning coffee because I haven't had mine yet.
But the coffee was
Doppio.
Doppio, yes.
The coffee was good.
Oh, 100%.
And what about you guys if you could go back in time? Like 5 years ago when you started everything here in Albania, what is the first thing that you would change or you would do differently from today's perspective? Like one thing.
That is actually a very good question. And those kinds of questions are usually pretty complex because I think they are multi-layered. Back then, we considered ourselves to be newbies when it came to doing business in Albania. I was still very young and I had never had any exposure to business in my life. My parents owned a small, furniture business. I graduated in computer science, so like I never had any real life exposure to business and dealing with people and negotiating and handling transactions and negotiations, whatever. So, and Joe also, I think, never had any kind of exposure to Albania as a country. As he mentioned, things work very differently here compared to the States. The States, people move fast, everything, is processed quickly. Here in Albania, things are a bit slowly, their things are a bit slow. You gotta have coffee, you gotta meet, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. So Joe didn't have the exposure back then. He also learned a lot about how Albania works. I also learned a lot about how business works, not just in Albania, but in general, because I consider myself to be very lucky to have had exposure to the business world both here in Albania and in the United States. We have almost 40 or 50 clients in the States, and I keep in touch with them almost on a daily basis. So practically, when it comes to doing business, I think I'm sort of an American guy now because I deal with these people all the time. I talk to them on the phone. I talk to them on video calls. We negotiate with them. We talk to them. So I've had exposure to both worlds. And if we went back in time, a lot of things I think would have been done differently.
But which is the major one, like the one that would have helped you mostly?
The major one. That's a very good one.
You want me to step in?
You can definitely step in, my friend. Help me out. Help your brother out. Come on.
Well, what I like about what Fiordi, what's actually great about what Thanos said is is perfect because I came with my hustle and grind, and I just thought I was gonna, come in, hustle, grind, and everything was gonna pop off, which it did. But Thano had to go and teach me. Well, Joe, we actually have to go and sit and have coffee with these people. So,
Yeah, so
the main
he teaches you
takeaway.
how to adapt.
Yes, he taught me how to adapt. So What I would change was I would definitely have come here and advised that both of us have done a little bit more research before in regards to what the best ways to get, for example, government documents done.
The
'Cause,
bureaucracy.
yeah, exactly. We did a lot of back and forth documents we didn't know. I would have done a lot of research up front and made sure Thano had all of everything ready for when we got here. But again, that wasn't the biggest deal in the world. We ended up, again, we're resilient. So if there's a will, there's a way, and we get shit done. So we got it all done. But I would have probably done a little bit more research. Nothing more than that. Everything else we've done has been killer.
So resilience plus consistency equals success.
Correct.
Resilience, consistency, and the most positive mindset in the world. There should be nothing that stops you when you have a good idea and you know it's going to make money or be successful. You just need to keep on going, put the blinders on, and run through a brick wall like a train, or sorry, drive through a brick wall like a train. And that's
You
it.
bring the wall down.
Must keep going. Yes, every day. Rent is due every day, and you are only as good as your last sale.
True.
No matter how successful, and again, I'm not saying we are. No matter how successful you are, you still need to reinvent yourself daily, and
Yeah.
you need to adapt every single day.
Yeah.
Every day.
A proverb comes in mind from the great King Solomon.
My middle name is Solomon.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa. So I have to say it out loud. A man with no vision shall perish. What do you think about that?
It is true. If you don't keep your mind jogged all the time, it just goes to waste. Your mind needs to be exercised the way anything else does.
Yeah.
Your body,
Yeah.
etc.
True. So from the beginning, when I started to study history, I was really intrigued with King Solomon because he was the richest king that ever lived. And I was like, I have to know this guy. I have to read about him. How did he manage to do that? And then I understood that he lost everything. So I was like, how did the richest man that ever lived lose everything? I got even more intrigued. And I started to study him a little bit. And I found all this counsel that is in line with what you said earlier, that we have to be consistent, persistent, and we have to have hope that we will achieve the vision that we have in mind. That is the only way to achieve any objective. Even a small objective, it doesn't matter on the size. It's just like a mental process that everybody has to go through. And it is like a kind of vision mapping. So you have that vision and you have to map it in different steps and tasks that you have to follow to achieve the larger vision. So I think you guys have done the same thing in a way or another, right?
That's exactly it. I mean, there is no other way to achieve success. The vision needs to be there. You need to wake up in the morning. You need to envision yourself doing what you do.
Yeah.
You need to envision the end goal, how you want to be perceived, what you want to do, what the goals are, and you need to make sure that every step that you take daily ends up going towards the goal. So, yes, I believe that that is the exact recipe for success.
And what lessons have you learned from Albania that you would give like a feedback to other potential international investors, even American ones or other ones that want to come to invest in Albania for different industries and sectors?
That's a very good question. Wow, I'm getting slammed here. Woo.
Take it easy. You have Thano as well. You have your bro here.
Dano, help me out here.
I think this country, contrary to popular belief, and it saddens me to hear a lot of people say negative things about this country. My own people, Albanians, usually are the first people to talk crap about the country, and it saddens me. Contrary to popular belief, I think Albania has a lot of potential for many industries. And I think from my experience, the past few years, the only thing that I would probably keep in mind for any potential investments or diversifications would probably be to be flexible. you are going to deal with a lot of people. You are going to deal with a lot of personalities. And some of those personalities are easy to deal with. Some of them are almost impossible to deal with. But that's what separates a great business guy from a trash business guy. You have to learn to adapt. Adapting and overcoming and things of that nature are really what sets you apart from the crowd. If you want to make it happen, you're going to struggle a lot. You're going to have a lot of setbacks. Most of those setbacks will come from people. People, as I said, come with 1,000 different personalities. You just have to be able to juggle all of them and get the best out of everyone.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the main thing to keep in mind. We're still a new country. Like we're a young country. We've only been doing business for the past 30 years. Albania didn't do any business or didn't have any exposure to the business world for almost a generation due to communism. Countries like in the United States, they've been doing business for almost 300 years, ever since the states were founded. They already know how business works. They already see with their own eyes. They have generational wealth. Albania is still young. You know, we're having the first large companies in Albania. Now we're having the first, legit business people.
It has started.
It has started.
Yeah,
It's
the
still turmoil.
revolution is here for sure.
The dust is settling, and I think everything will be clear soon. And people are learning. I see the younger generation. They're learning. They're adapting. They're, absorbing knowledge, how business works, this, that.
Yeah.
And it gladdens me to see that. And when I see that, I think this country has mad potential. You just gotta learn to just go through the mud, deal with people, deal with that. It's easier said than done, but sometimes it just needs to get done.
Yeah.
Well said, my bro. That was good.
And what would you choose? Like quick profits or long-term profits that would need like much more effort?
Man, I've been working. I dropped out of college to go to work for
Really?
Yes. I was working. I was going to school, college, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then I had a job from 2:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. And we were selling online bathtubs, high-end bathtubs, faucets, shower heads, big brands, small brands, etc. I went from making $11 an hour to $750 a week in 3 months as an 18-year-old in college, and then I was making over $1,000 a week. At the time, I was making more money than my father was. For an 18-year-old kid to make $1,000 a week, that was a lot of money. And I was doing fine. I was in school, just going to school as a student, and thinking I'm going to get a degree in something, etc., so on and so forth. And one day I had a friend who said, you got to come work with me. I said, well, what do you do? He said, I do business loans. I said, okay, great. He says, yeah, I got people here making 20, 30, 40, 50,000 bucks a month. I said, what? I said, a month or a year? He said, a month. I said, all right. He said, come in for an interview. Obviously, the office was on Wall Street. So I took a train in. I was nervous as hell. I didn't know anything about loans, finance. Didn't even know how to use a calculator to calculate any kinds of APRs or anything. Went in, got the gig, spent 4 months, didn't make $1, busted my ass. I finally broke ice, and that week I made 11,000 bucks, and ever since then the sky's been the limit.
Whoa.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely. What was the question again?
You answered everything with that answer.
Oh, okay, great, thanks.
It was all inclusive. Congrats, no respect.
Yeah, you just got to keep on hustling. So yeah, that was exactly it.
So you would sacrifice long-term profits for a quick profit?
No, long-term profit's the way to go. So where I was going with that, thank you for bringing that back. So I've had many businesses. I've had many businesses since then. I was in the jewelry business. I owned a creperie in the mall in New Jersey. Embroidery business. What?
Even embroidery?
Over 15 businesses. And what I learned was I wanted to have it all. I wanted to just go hard. But again, when you keep taking money from one business, pumping it into another, like you said earlier, I was always in the business. And that was a recipe for disaster, because how can I be in business A if I open business B? I got to try to be there. Then business A suffered. So all of these I wanted to make money fast there. I wanted to make money fast in the second business and the third. And then, they all started to make less money. So then I realized, like you said, you need to focus on one thing, do it right. Once it's profitable, where you can hire others and allow them and delegate and you can trust them, then you move on to
Yeah.
business B and C. Unless you're fuck you loaded, and then you can just hire everyone from the get go and just start all the businesses. But if you're starting with nothing, I think that slow and steady is the way to go
Yeah, sure.
for me. Yes, as I've gotten older, that's what I've learned.
Yeah, another quote comes in mind from Rockefeller that said, like, I prefer to earn 1% from 100 people's effort than 100% of my own effort. So this is
Absolutely,
basically
absolutely,
what you were saying. You have to create a structure that can work
Correct.
for you and for the goal of the company, for the product or the service the company is offering, and then you can move to the next thing.
absolutely. You need to make sure it's running like a fine oiled machine. Only then, I think, should you move on to the next step, so you can really apply 100% of your energy and efforts into the second. It's just that's just the way we've become successful. And once we hit something, and I know that was the recipe, I stick to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's another phrase that I was discussing with Pirro like some days before. It was like something about money and women. And it stated that if you chase women, you will lose money. But if you chase money, you will never lose women. What do you think about that?
I think you could probably chase both at the same time if you really want to, but I do agree with the quote very much. Yes.
So generally, it is true.
I mean, look, uh, chasing women and, partying, etc. That's all good and fine, but that's just going to end up losing you money and probably driving you fucking nuts, especially, Albanian woman. Just kidding. But if you are looking to be successful, I believe that business should be in the forefront. And then I think that your partying should be secondary. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah. What about you, Thano?
I would definitely agree with what Joe said. I definitely think that every person should have a balance to their lives. You can't work 24/7, you gotta unwind a bit. But I agree with what Joe said. Business and self development should always come first. And partying and women and hanging out and drinking, they're all fine if they're kept in moderation. And I think you should just use them as an unwinding tool, and they should not be your primary focus in life.
Yeah.
If drinking and being hungover and hanging around with people and not focusing on yourself and letting your life start spiraling out of control, we've seen that happen with people
that is
are close
destructive.
to us, and we've seen that happen to very famous people in the world. I think a wise person should prioritize self-development, but also have good unwinding mechanisms. I see nothing wrong with women. I see nothing wrong with partying. I see nothing wrong with drinking and hanging out and having fun.
But you have to have an equilibrium, I mean.
There should always be a balance and
I
everything.
hope you see nothing wrong with women.
God forbid. So I think you should everything.
He's flexible. He mentioned it before.
We are all very flexible.
But he is the most, I guess.
I will not comment on that.
Stop being sus, Thanos.
So yeah, I think that's it. As long as things are kept in moderation and as long as they do not affect your life and the way you conduct life and the way you keep yourself upright, I think that's definitely fine. I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I'll add a little bit. Everyone's equipped with certain tools from childhood, from the way you were raised. Some people understand that chasing women, etc., is secondary. Business is first, and they know how to keep the partying a side gig. Some people don't. Okay? So my recommendation to the people that don't is get yourself a mentor, and keep the partying and shit to a, not a minimum, but keep it a side thing and don't let it become your main thing. Once
sure.
that becomes your main thing, if it spirals out of control, then yes, then you've got a problem, and it's going to be a little bit tough to focus on your business.
Wise words, wise words. And furthermore, if you think about that, these women and this drinking, a lot of the young generation, like most of the women, are drinking like their fathers, but they
a
are
good
not
one.
cooking like their mothers, though. Think about that.
I like that. Drinking like their fathers, not cooking like their mothers.
Where are we going?
I'm quoting the shit out of that.
Yeah, but where are we going? You cannot keep up with
It's
them.
a tough time because of social media, personally. TikTok,
I agree.
being able to go through a reel and, having exposed to, 200 or 300 clips in a matter of an hour, and people are doing it. Everyone just sees so much different shit, and that's what they want to do.
So fast.
Everyone's got options, a million different options. You can do whatever the fuck you want. You can be this, you can be that. So yeah, I think the old school way of doing things and just focusing on one or two things has become hundreds. So we've got a lot of confused people. We've got a lot of people that want to do a lot of things. We have a lot of people that don't, can't stay in relationships because of all this type of stuff. So yeah, you are absolutely right. It's moving fast, and we definitely need to go back to our core roots sometimes and understand that we need to be good people. We need to work like our parents did. We need to focus and just keep on going. Keeping the partying, and like you said, our women are great, but like you said,
There is this tendency, right?
yeah. I mean, it's just what it is. We've got social media. You've got people, celebrities posting all kinds of crazy shit, and that's fine. Everyone can do whatever they want to do, but it's become more play, less work. So I think we need to, like Thanos said earlier, we need to get back to balancing it, and the world's getting back there. Yeah,
Let's hope so.
I hope so.
I would also add to that the fact that I think the main culprit, especially something that social media has emphasized a lot the past few years, I think is instant gratification. People want everything now. People want everything fast.
Not now. They want it yesterday.
There you
Exactly.
go.
So-
Worse.
And what's a common knowledge is that things take time, like building a business, achieving something,
It's a process.
working out, having a good body, being healthy, studying. Everything takes time in life. Like you plant the day you plant the seed is not the day you eat the fruit.
Yeah.
That fruit may take years to develop and for you to eat it. And you see people on Instagram and TikTok and this and that, and their lives seem glamorous, which for most cases is probably fake. A lot of people know how to fake things, and
They just show their best aspect.
100%. And it saddens me to see that a lot of people are gullible and buy into that. Not everyone is rich. Not everyone is happy. Every single person goes through struggles. Every single person has self-doubt. Joe and I, you have invited us here today, and we're very grateful for that, and we thank you. And we are very happy that you consider us successful people in the world of business. But getting to this point for both of us took years. We both came from families that had modest means. There were days when I was in high school or early college that I only had $2 in my pocket as a 21-year-old. Now, thank God, I'm doing well, and if I want to buy something, I can afford it. But it took me years and a lot of hard work to get here. I didn't have a normal 9-to-5 job. There were days when I would just wake up at like 8 a.m. and finish working at 2 a.m. And I would only sleep like 6 or 7 hours. I have been to the emergency room due to high blood pressure because I was working so hard and drinking like 5 coffee cups a day. And I would feel my heart just explode. So, back then that was probably not the healthiest thing to do, but, I think things take time and a lot of effort. And I think that's what the younger generation needs to realize, that they're young, they have all the time in the world to accomplish things, they need to focus on self-development. Instant gratification, may give you short-term happiness, but in the long run, it's a recipe for disaster, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
Slow money is good money, for sure. Takes time. Everything takes time. Every single thing.
That's so true.
If it comes fast, sometimes you can lose it fast too.
What comes fast doesn't last.
That's what they say. I like this podcast. A lot of sayings.
Exactly. A lot of, innuendos like
In the next
yeah.
podcast, maybe we'll do a song together because I noticed you're good at rapping.
Good at rapping. I also do play the guitar. I played guitar for many years since I'm 13 years old. I was in a band for a long time. We were rated the top unsigned band in the country, and at the time I was only 14 years old.
So, guys, this is the artistic side of Joseph Vaknen.
Yeah.
Correct.
You got a guitar around?
No,
Oh,
unfortunately.
come on, bro. No,
You caught me unprepared.
I should have brought one. Yes. It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time. Yeah.
And one last question to
Of course.
close this beautiful podcast up is, what about Israel? I mean, like, for an entrepreneur, let's take my case, for example, because I am a serial entrepreneur that has done like several businesses from when I started. And I have looked up to Israel because they are like the best country for supporting startups. And it is the country where there are more unicorns than any other country in the world. Unicorns being $1 billion companies for the listeners that don't know the term. So, what is your suggestion to people that are willing to scale up their companies and they are considering the option to go and to move their companies in Israel?
To Israel, you mean?
Yeah.
From Albania?
Not necessarily, but also from Albania. Like, even from Albania, because now, given that we live in a globalized world, anybody can have an idea that has a huge potential. It doesn't matter where it comes from. I mean, like, is it worth moving to a country that offers you an infrastructure that maximizes the probability of success of that specific idea? Which I think Israel is one of these countries.
So, like you mentioned earlier, guys, I'm actually from a Moroccan Israeli family. I visit Israel very frequently. I've been there over 25 times. The majority of my family lives in Israel. So I've been going there for over 25 years. So I've seen the changes economically, socially, etc. What's really wonderful about Israel is it's a democratic state, and they've allowed their people, as you see, they're flourishing. They're one of the biggest tech hubs in the world. Like you said, they've got more unicorns per capita than probably most countries, etc. So, do I think? Look, Israel's a competitive place. They will hustle harder than everyone you fucking know.
Hyper competitive.
Oh, super duper duper. And they know how to make money. They know exactly how to get to where they want to be. And they know how to just keep on growing, etc. So if you want to get there and you want to really earn, you need to make sure you're going there with the right people, with the right money, and the right mindset, because you got to be ready to hustle there.
Mm.
It's very similar to New York,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion.
I get it.
But if you hit big there, you hit big. Real big.
You eat everything.
You don't need to eat everything all the time, but yeah.
In Israel, if you eat big in Israel, you hit the world, no?
That's right. I think so. I think so. I do.
We have to organize a trip in Israel.
It's my country. We're going to go.
I am definitely down for that.
Hell yeah.
I look forward to that.
Tel Aviv. Ya Habibi Tel
Ya
Aviv.
Habibi Tel
Ya
Aviv.
Habibi.
It's a very interesting place.
Yeah.
As Joe mentioned, it's a hub for technology, and
Yeah.
it's an amazingly developed country. But Joe and I, beyond business, as I mentioned, we also consider each other brothers. We're also kind of like spiritual to some degree. So Israel, to
I
me,
can feel that.
to me, is a very exciting place because I think it's the birthplace of many important religions, and
Yeah.
it's definitely a
The
place.
cradle of civilization.
You have Judaism, which was born there, and you have then Christianity, and a lot of other minor
Yeah.
Abrahamic religions, and that's stuff that I'm usually very interested in. So I'm definitely excited for the trip. We need to make it happen.
Oh yeah. Where's Dinyon?
He will come for sure.
He
He
better.
will join us in our podcast in Israel.
Dinyon.
Tel Aviv.
Yes.
We're looking for you.
I think we need to make a sequel to this in our office, so we
Yeah.
can invite people from
Yeah, why
our
not?
office.
Why not?
Let's do it.
It's
It'd be
gonna be
great.
crazy. Yes.
Yeah.
We have 200 employees. We'll pick the top 10 craziest, and and that podcast I'm sure will go viral not just in Albania but probably the whole region. It's gonna be. I think we should do it.
Yeah.
Not a
I'm
bad
up for it.
idea.
And Gazor to Tel Aviv 2024. Fiordi, Joe, Thano, Dignon, and everyone else.
Ooh,
Baby.
that would be great.
Hell yeah.
So
Very
thank you
excited.
guys for being here.
Thanks
Thank you
for
very
having
much,
us.
Fiordi.
And
We
looking
really
forward.
appreciate the invitation.
Pleasure is mine. Looking forward to our next podcast.
Thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
giving
Thank
us
you for
the-
having us.
And wish
The
you the
audience
best of the
to-
best.
For everyone watching us, I highly recommend you follow the ONUS mission. Fiordi is an incredible serial entrepreneur, and anyone that follows his podcasts will know that he knows what the fuck is up.
Amen, my friend.
Thank you, bro.
You got it.
Thank you.
On us. Making business beautiful.